Hello, this is Bruce Tremper with the Utah Avalanche Center in Moab with your backcountry avalanche and mountain weather advisory for the Sal Mountains and the Sal Mountains. I created this video avalanche advisory on Thursday, February 4th in the evening. Yesterday we snowmobiled up to Geyser Pass trailhead because the road was impassable, but luckily it's getting plowed out today, so hopefully it will be open soon. So here's the basic setup. We're on pre-Laurel Peak and looking across to the cirques, and we see lots of recent avalanche activity that occurred during the storm. Like all of the shoulder of Tupno went, and then on the right, most of that cirque of red snow cirque looks like it slid. Almost all of middle cirque looks like it slid during the storm. Some early in the storm got covered up, and then some very late in the storm and didn't get covered up with very much. But it was quite a bit of activity during the storm, so that's good because it released a lot of the weak layers that were on the upper elevation northerly facing slopes. So hopefully they ran naturally during the storm instead of the human triggered potential that could occur if they didn't have run. So I'm glad to see the activity. Here we are looking into Horse Creek. This is a northeast facing slope at over 11,000 feet in Horse Creek, and it did slide during the storm and it's fairly fresh. Looks like it's about a foot or more deep. I can see debris pretty much in the entire bowl, so I think a lot of things slid during the storm, so that's good. I'm really glad this thing slid because it's a very, very dangerous slope. Here we have steep avalanche terrain that strains through trees, which is extremely deadly. This is very difficult to survive a slide like this. As far as the avalanche forecast, you can see that statewide we have considerable danger at the upper elevations pretty much everywhere, and in the Moab area as well. The Sal Mountains, I'm still thinking we're probably going to be around considerable danger for the upper elevation shady aspects, and also at the upper elevations for wind slabs through the weekend. These are sliding on persistent weak layers on the shady aspects northwest, north, northeast, and east facing, especially at upper elevations. Some of those may occur at lower elevations. Most everything slid during the storm, and the things that have not slid are probably still suspect, just kind of waiting for some provocation. So I would still avoid those unslid slopes on the shady aspects. If you have to get into something steep, jump into an avalanche path that ran during the storm and not something that did not run during the storm. It's a little bit hard to tell because a lot of them got covered up. Also, it'll be pretty windy for the next several days, so be suspicious of all the upper elevation terrain in the wind exposed areas. So as usual, avoid all slopes with recent deposits of wind-drifted snow. And for the weather forecast, here we have the storm just exiting us, but then the rest of the week it'll be clear but fairly windy, pretty blustery winds from several different directions, so that could be redistributing snow, especially at the upper elevation wind-exposed areas, but pretty clear sailing otherwise. Well, that's the summary of the avalanche and mountain weather conditions. Remember that this forecast is meant to be used in conjunction with a field-based level 1 avalanche course. It describes general avalanche conditions, and local variations always do occur. So stay safe and stay on top.